Welcome to Do or Reads, where we decode deep ideas and break down big books one page at a time. Today, we're cracking open Cal Newport's incredibly impactful book, Deep Work. And this isn't just about, productivity hacks. It's really an exploration into mastering profound, focused concentration in a world that seems, designed to pull your attention in 1,000 directions.
Yeah, that's basically it. Newport defines deep work as the ability to focus without distraction on cognitively demanding tasks. Simple definition, but profound implications. And his core argument is that this skill is becoming increasingly rare, yet it's absolutely vital for anyone looking to truly thrive today. It's about more than just getting things done. It's really about unlocking your fullest potential.
Right. So over the next few minutes, we're going to uncover why this focused concentration is so incredibly valuable, why it feels so rare in our modern world, and also, maybe surprisingly, why it's deeply meaningful. And then we'll get practical. We'll equip you with Newport's 4 rules to actually cultivate this vital skill in your own life. Okay, let's get into it. Let's begin with a fundamental idea. Deep work isn't merely a productivity buzzword. It's foundational for success in today's rapidly evolving economy. Newport highlights what economists Eric Brynjolfsson and Andrew McAfee call the Great Restructuring, which is basically this phase where technological advancement is actually outpacing skill development. Our tech is moving at light speed, but many human skills are struggling to keep up.
Exactly. And in this landscape, Newport identifies 3 groups who are really thriving. First, you've got the high-skilled workers. Think individuals like data analyst Nate Silver, who excel by leveraging complex machines and data analysis. They're adept at collaborating with these intelligent systems. Second, the superstars. These are the top talents, like maybe David Heinemeier Hansson, who in a global marketplace rise to the absolute top of their fields. And finally, the owners of capital. Investors like John Doerr, who profit immensely from technology with minimal direct labor. These are the ones navigating this new economic reality really successfully.
Okay, so 3 distinct groups. And to join those ranks, Newport argues you need 2 crucial abilities. First, the capacity to quickly master difficult things. Fast learning, and second, the ability to produce at an elite level, which means, importantly, both high quality and high speed. He directly connects these abilities to deep work, emphasizing that you simply cannot develop them without it. It's the bedrock.
Exactly right. Deep work isn't just about output, it's about growth, about getting better. It accelerates mastery by strengthening the neural connections crucial for expertise through focused, deliberate practice, like myelin development. It also enables exceptional output by allowing you to concentrate on single tasks without interruption. Think of someone like Adam Grant, known for his incredible productivity. And there's a key concept here Newport introduces called attention residue.
Ah, yes, I remember that.
Yeah, when you switch tasks, a piece of your focus often remains stuck on the previous one, and that diminishes your performance on the new task. This powerfully underscores why uninterrupted concentration is so vital. You lose cognitive capacity with every switch.
But Newport throws a bit of a curveball here, doesn't he? He brings up Jack Dorsey, co-founder of Twitter and Square. He seems to thrive in an environment that's constantly connected, always on. How does that fit? Seems contradictory.
It is, and it's a crucial distinction he makes. Newport acknowledges Dorsey as an exception, primarily because of his high-level executive role. See, his job isn't necessarily to produce deep, focused deliverables himself day to day. It's more about strategy, connecting ideas, making high-level decisions across multiple ventures.
Okay, so a different kind of work demands.
Exactly. For the vast majority of us, however, deep work is non-negotiable. The book really stresses that reducing constant connectivity and cultivating intense focus can dramatically enhance performance and lead to substantial productivity gains for most professions. Dorsey is the exception, not the rule.
That makes sense. So if deep work is so incredibly valuable, why does it feel like it's getting harder to do? What's happening in our modern workplaces that actively, maybe unintentionally, works against it?
Yeah, it's a fascinating paradox, isn't it? Newport points to several major culprits. First off, open office designs. So many companies adopted these, hoping for more collaboration, but studies consistently show they cause significant distractions, really impacting concentration.
The constant noise and movement.
Exactly. Then there's the pervasive instant messaging culture. Tools like Slack or Teams, They promote rapid responses, which is common in corporate environments, but it means constant interruptions. Research indicates that even short pings severely delay task completion and just shatter deep work states.
Yeah, that context switching cost again.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And finally, there's the pressure for a constant social media presence. Even traditional organizations, he mentions in the New York Times, push employees to engage online, diverting focus from core responsibilities and, meaningful work.
It really makes you wonder. We seem to be building systems that prioritize this constant chatter over actual deep production. Why do we keep doing this if it seems so counterproductive?
Well, Newport offers some compelling reasons for this disconnect. One is what he calls the metric black hole. Organizations really struggle to quantify the actual cost of constant email or excessive meetings. It's hard to put a dollar figure on lost focus, so these inefficient habits just persist.
If you can't measure it, you can't manage it, essentially.
Kind of, yeah. Then there's the principle of least resistance. It's simply easier in the moment to constantly communicate and react than to engage in deeper, more demanding work, even if the latter is far more valuable long-term.
The path of least resistance is checking email.
Pretty much. This also leads to busyness as a proxy for productivity. Employees, and maybe even managers, often equate visible activity like email volume or meeting attendance with effectiveness. So they sacrifice deep work for this constant visible engagement.
Looking busy versus actually being productive.
Exactly. And finally, he mentions the cult of the internet. There's this widespread, almost unquestioning belief that technology and constant connectivity are inherently positive, which leads us to adopt some pretty counterproductive practices without critical thought.
That's a powerful analysis. It makes a lot of sense when you lay it out like that. But deep work isn't just about career success, is it? Newport suggests it leads to something more profound. Meaning, how does dedicating yourself to deep work lead to a more, fulfilling life?
Yeah, this is a really interesting part of the book. He uses the compelling example of Rick Furrer, a master blacksmith specializing in ancient metalworking. His meticulous craftsmanship, every hammer strike, every deliberate movement in crafting something complex like a Viking sword, it just embodies deep work, intense focus, specialized skills. And Furrer finds profound meaning in the sheer challenge of his craft. Newport quotes him saying, "To do it right, it is the most complicated thing I know how to make, and it's that challenge that drives me."
Wow, that direct connection to the work.
Right. Contrast this with a lot of modern knowledge work, which often struggles with defining purpose because of ambiguous tasks like endless emails and reports. This kind of blurring of identity in knowledge work can make it feel disconnected from meaning, unlike the deep connection you find in skilled trades where the output is tangible.
So it's about the psychological payoff, too. This idea that deep work can lead to a state of flow, as described by the psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi.
Absolutely. Flow is that mental state, being fully immersed in a challenging activity where you lose track of time and find deep satisfaction. It's often marked by that perfect balance between your skills and the task's challenge. Newport connects this beautifully to Winifred Gallagher's idea that who you are, what you think, feel, and do, what you love, is the sum of what you focus on.
So the quality of your attention basically defines your reality.
That's the argument. The quality of your attention profoundly defines your life satisfaction. What's fascinating here is how intentionally directing our focus fundamentally influences our entire experience of life, not just our work output.
And it's this connection that makes Newport's central thesis so compelling. A deep life is fundamentally a good life, rich in meaning and fulfillment, extending way beyond just professional success. It's about building a life steeped in purpose and focus. Okay, so we've explored why deep work is so vital, why it's become rare, and yet why it's deeply meaningful. Now, for the really practical side, what does this all mean for you listening right now? How can you actually do this? Let's turn to Newport's 4 practical rules for cultivating deep work. First up, rule #1, work deeply. This is all about structuring your environment and your time to enable that profound concentration. He introduces this really cool conceptual eudaimonia machine designed by architect David Dewayne as a powerful metaphor. It's a building designed with different rooms for different phases of work, from collaboration to intense solitary focus.
Yeah, it's a great metaphor.
The core insight is that your environment profoundly shapes your ability to concentrate. You can't just will yourself to focus in a distracting place.
Exactly. And the eudaimonia machine concept highlights that willpower alone isn't enough. It's finite. You can't just wish for deep work. You need scheduled routines, habits. Newport outlines several philosophies for integrating deep work into your life. There's the monastic approach, basically eliminating shallow obligations almost entirely.
Like a hermit.
Kind of. Or a bimodal approach, dedicating clear, long blocks of time just for deep work, separate from everything else. Then there's rhythmic scheduling, setting aside regular, shorter sessions, maybe daily, and even a journalistic approach, which means capitalizing on spontaneous free moments whenever they appear. Very adaptable.
So options depending on your lifestyle.
Right. The key takeaway is you must intentionally build deep work into your schedule. Choose an approach that fits your life. He also stresses the importance of rituals, like having a specific routine before starting deep work, and even grand gestures, like temporary retreats, to elevate its importance. Essentially, treat deep work like a business. Use disciplined frameworks. And crucially, recognize that significant mental downtime is essential for recharging and even for generating insights. Set strict boundaries for your work hours. Don't just let it bleed into everything.
Okay, structure and environment are key. But how do we actually train our brains to resist the constant pull of notifications, emails, everything, and cultivate that true focus? That brings us to Newport's second rule. Embrace boredom. This sounds odd. Embrace boredom.
It does sound counterintuitive, yeah. But it's fundamentally about training your brain to resist distraction. Think of it like mental resistance training. Newport shares the story of Adam Marlin and his daily Talmud study. Marlin, despite his Ivy League education, found that this consistent, difficult mental strain was like physical training for his brain. It built his cognitive abilities and actually led to creative insights in his business. And this lines up with research, like Clifford Nass's work at Stanford, which showed that constant distraction actually impairs the brain's ability to filter out irrelevancy and focus. It damages your focus muscle.
So if you're always seeking novelty, you lose the ability to sustain focus when things get, well, boring or difficult.
Precisely. So Newport's strategy is, as you said, quite counterintuitive. Instead of scheduling breaks from distraction, like I'll check email for 5 minutes, you should schedule breaks from focus.
How does that work?
The idea is to organize your internet use, your access to distractions, into designated, limited blocks of time. Outside of those blocks, you resist the urge. By doing this, you actively strengthen your attention span and reduce that Pavlovian urge to constantly seek out distractions.
So you're training yourself to tolerate the lack of stimulation.
Exactly. Other techniques he suggests include Rooseveltian intensity, using deliberately tight deadlines to force intense concentration, inspired by how Theodore Roosevelt apparently studied effectively in short bursts. He also introduces productive meditation, where you use mindless physical tasks like walking or showering to deeply focus on a specific professional problem, thereby honing your concentration skills while maybe solving something.
Using downtime productively for thinking.
Right. Even something as seemingly random as memorizing a deck of cards can serve as a unique training exercise to enhance your attention control. So this raises an important question for you listening. Are you actively training your attention or just letting it be pulled wherever the latest notification leads?
That's a good question to ponder. Okay, moving on to rule #3, quit social media. Or, perhaps more realistically for many, approach it with extreme intention. He shares Baritone Thurston's experience with a 25-day digital detox.
Yeah, Thurston, who felt completely burnt out from the overwhelming nature of online engagement, had this realization about how social media had a fragmented impact on concentration. His experience really highlighted how these network tools can be both beneficial and harmful, underscoring the need for a much more stringent evaluation of their actual value versus their cost to your focus.
And this brings us to a really crucial distinction Newport makes: the any-benefit mindset versus the craftsman approach to tool selection. This feels like a fundamental shift in how we should view technology.
It really is. The any benefit mindset is kind of the default for most of us. If there's any conceivable minor benefit to using a tool like staying vaguely connected on Facebook, we justify its use. But we often ignore the major drawbacks, like the constant distraction and time sink.
Right, the opportunity cost.
Exactly. In contrast, the craftsman approach involves a careful, rigorous assessment. It asks, does the positive impact of this tool genuinely outweigh the negative for your specific, important goals and your overall well-being? Not just, is there any benefit, but is the benefit significant and worth the cost? Newport suggests applying the law of the vital few, Pareto principle, focusing only on the 2 or 3 activities that give you the most value, and recognizing that many network tool benefits simply don't make the cut when weighed against their distractions.
So be ruthless about what tools you allow into your life.
Pretty much. He also proposes a practical test, a 30-day social media experiment. Quit a service for a month and then ask yourself 2 reflective questions. 1, Would the last 30 days have been notably better if I had been able to use this service? And two, did people actually care that I wasn't using this service? Often the answer is no on both counts.
That's a challenging experiment.
It can be. And finally, he advises against defaulting to using the internet for entertainment. Instead, plan higher quality leisure activities that are more restorative and fulfilling. Don't just scroll because you're bored.
Okay, be intentional about tools and leisure. Makes sense. And finally, rule #4, drain the shallows. This is about ruthlessly identifying and minimizing or even eliminating those low-value tasks that consume time without significant payoff.
Yeah, this rule is wonderfully illustrated by the software company 37 Signals, which is now Basecamp. Back in 2007, they experimented with shortening their work week to 4 days during the summer. And what they found was fascinating. Employees maintained productivity even while working one less day per week. How? By being forced to prioritize deep work and slash the shallow tasks. It really showed the true inefficiency of what Newport calls shallow work.
So just to be clear for everyone listening, shallow work refers to those tasks that consume time but don't create significant new value or require intense cognitive effort. Think routine emails, scheduling, simple administrative stuff, whereas deep work, again, is cognitively demanding, leverages your expertise, creates new value, and results in substantial, high-impact progress.
Precisely. And Newport provides some really actionable strategies for draining the shallows from your workday. First, schedule every minute of your day.
Whoa, every minute? That sounds intense.
It sounds rigid, but he clarifies it's not about sticking to it perfectly. It's about gaining clarity on exactly how your time is actually spent. It forces you to confront how much time goes to shallow stuff and helps you consciously allocate time for deep work. You can always adjust the schedule. Second, quantify the depth of your activities. Ask yourself, how long would it take to train a smart college grad with no specialized training to do this task? If the answer is not long, it's likely shallow. This helps categorize tasks.
That's a useful heuristic.
It is. Third, he suggests considering a shallow work budget. This might involve talking with your supervisor to define acceptable limits on shallow tasks, making the case for protecting time for deep work. It formalizes the priority.
A bit more advanced, maybe, but powerful if you can do it.
Definitely. And finally, becoming hard to reach. This doesn't mean being unresponsive, but taking control of your communication channels, especially email. Strategies include using sender filters, crafting process-centric responses that clarify next steps and reduce back and forth, and importantly, knowing when not to reply at all. Not every email needs an answer.
Learning to be less accessible strategically.
Exactly. And if we connect this back to the bigger picture, reclaiming control over your communication, your inbox, your notifications, that's a huge lever for enabling more deep work.
So pulling this all together, to reiterate the central message of deep work, it's really important to understand that this isn't presented as some kind of moral argument, like you should work deeply. It's a pragmatic skill. It's about understanding what actually leads to significant accomplishments, innovation, and ultimately a more fulfilling professional and personal life.
That's absolutely right. Think about Bill Gates back in 1974, seeing the Altair personal computer on the cover of Popular Electronics. He was inspired. He then dedicated 2 intense months, often working to the point of exhaustion, totally immersed, to develop basic software for it. His ability to concentrate so deeply, so intensely, that truly set him apart and enabled him to launch what became a multi-billion-dollar industry. That was deep work in action.
An incredible example of focus leading to massive impact.
And Newport also shares his own experience. As a professor, he made a conscious commitment to deep work principles. And despite increasing obligations, family, tenure track, he actually doubled his academic output of peer-reviewed papers. It's a personal testament to the power of focus.
Wow. Okay, so it sounds truly transformative. But it also sounds like it requires real effort, discipline, and definitely stepping out of our modern comfort zones, especially that feeling of artificial busyness from constant digital engagement. It's almost like, our brains have become accustomed to this sugar rush of notifications and quick hits, and deep work is the nutritious, substantial meal we often skip because it takes more effort to prepare and consume.
It absolutely does require effort. It's a skill that needs cultivation. But as Newport powerfully argues, to leave the distracted masses to join the focused few is a transformative experience.
Yeah.
He really believes and argues convincingly that a deep life is ultimately a more fulfilling and productive existence, one that is more aligned with achieving significant goals, both personal and professional.
So as you reflect on this exploration of deep work, Maybe consider this question. What is one shallow task, just one that you could commit to reducing or eliminating this week? And what piece of deep work, something truly meaningful or challenging, could you replace it with, even if it's just for 30 minutes to start? It's worth considering the possibility that the constantly busy life isn't necessarily the best life or the most impactful one. Maybe the deep life is where the real value lies.